Hey, hey, hey. All right, we have power now. We are live and in effect. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are living a life of better boundaries and better living. Now is the time, now is the place to step into your power. If you find yourself hesitating, you always being the yes person wherever you are. And you might feel a little guilty about saying no, just a twinge. Or if you want to know more about how to set better and clearer boundaries for your maintaining of your sanity and also your success and your well being, you are in the right place. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the people in the room. If you are joining me on Facebook, say hello. If you are joining me on Instagram, say hello. If you see me on YouTube, say hello. I do like to greet you back in the comments as well. My name is Dr. Kim Overline with Dr. Kim, where we heal from burnout and create balance so we can express our brilliance and our well being. You deserve the success that you set out for. You also deserve well being at the same time. So, introverted women of faith. I have my water here. I'm going to take a sip. Introverted women of faith. Sometimes we can find ourselves catering to everyone else and we leave ourselves last. We learn that our no is powerful when we accept and own our voice. When you learn that you have a voice, you learn how to accept the power of your no because you understand what it can bring to you in your life, what it can make you available for. We learn that we even have a voice. We even learn what a boundary is and that we have boundaries sometimes from the people around us. They understand, they are emotionally intelligent enough to understand how to communicate and teach you about boundaries. But the greatest teacher of them all is life. That is the first instance where some of us find out what a boundary is and how to set a boundary when we come from a healing journey. When we heal from some level of pain, from some level of trauma, we start to put boundaries in place for protection. And as we grow and as we learn, we set boundaries in place so we can have access to what is actually for us and the things that make us feel great and feel good in life. So, we're talking about how to communicate the boundary, but first, how do you set the boundary? What are some things that we need to take note of so we can set those? And those are our values. First, before I go into that, I want to share our question with you. I have a question for you. These are some things for you to ponder. Well, this is one thing for you to ponder. And also, community happens in the comments. So we talk, we share in the comments. What you say will help someone else. What they say or what you read will help you as well. You're sharing something that will definitely help somebody else see themselves. So the question is, what's one stronger boundary you need to communicate? What's something that you really need to communicate, whether it's now or going into the new year? I'd rather for it to be now, but definitely if you're looking ahead to the new year and going forward, what is something that you need to have stronger boundaries around so you can get the things that you need? You can have the life that you want. You can experience the type of living that you want to experience. What boundary do you need to put in place? Hopefully, you will have an answer for that by the end tonight. So, we've talked about in a recent live understanding the power of no. Let me make sure I can see y'all over here. All right, yes, we got some feedback over here. Good. We talked about the understanding the power of no, and that was paramount. Understanding that you do have power in your no, what your no gets you access to, how to get away or get out of the fear of missing out, the guilt, and we're going to talk some more about guilt on tonight as well. But that was the previous video that we did before this one. You can find it on the channel. And by the way, your girl has a YouTube channel now, so you can subscribe. Come, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. We are growing, we are expanding and doing things because my goal is to have a resource catalog for you all who are ready to heal burnout and totally get to your life of brilliance beyond that. My channel name is at Align with Dr. Kim. That's Align with Dr. Kim. Now, back to what we were talking about. So, values. Well, how do you find out what your value is and prioritizing that thing so we can set, so we can call something a boundary and understand why we need to set a boundary in those things? Well, yeah, first off, if you stressed out about some area in your life, or if something is you just really don't have what you want in it, you may need to reassess the thing and see where what boundaries do you need to set. Specifically, if you're having issues with work-life balance, look at what boundaries you have with your work and your life bound setups as well. Your environments, your time, your energy, all of those things. We can also think about where our values lie. What things are important to you, your family, things like your relationships, things like balance, things like authenticity. Actually, there are a list of words, and I recommend people do this. You look up core values and you scan through the list. You kind of let your gut work with you. Whatever jumps out at you, whichever one that you feel is like, yeah, this is important to me. I recommend starting with five. Starting with five. Because, yes, there are a list of hundreds of core values. And so you won't get overwhelmed. Sometimes going through there, setting yourself a 1 minute timer and looking at your top five, the things that you have marked off on that list. James Clear has a list of values. Brene Brown has a list of values as well. Those are some people that you can Google online or you can go to their websites online so that way you can understand what the values are and you can see these things. So you're going to choose your top five things. And like I said, they can be things like work, relationships, health, personal growth, things like that. So you're going to choose those values, your top five, and then we're going to prioritize them. This is so when you make your decisions, whenever you come to a point where you need to make a decision, you're looking at which things am I going to focus on this week other than your have to do's and your need to do's, also aligning your to do list. Like I said, your decisions based upon what your core values are, the things that are important to you. Another way you can determine those, look at them if they're not necessarily standing out to you or your intuition is not on the level you want it to be on, you can also think about what are the things that tick you off. You definitely know you value family if it makes you upset when you're speaking to someone and they tell you, oh, I never visit my family, or I don't have a family around me, or my family is kind of small. We really don't do anything. If that makes you sad, that lets you know that you really enjoy your family, that that's a core value for you. So also looking at the things that you judge other people about. If you judge others on certain things, if you're judging someone because of the way that they look a lot of times, you may have a core value of appearances, keeping up appearances. And some of you may be like, oh, that's just courteous. How could anybody overlook that? I promise you, a lot of people value, comfort over style. If you're somebody that, if you're judging someone, and that's just an example by all means, people judge people on so many different things out here. They're like, everybody has a belly button, or they're supposed to, I should say that. Now, back to what I was saying about choosing your core values. It's it's something you want to look at and keep in front of mind. Like I said, when you are making decisions about the things that you want to do, so those decisions are not stressing you out. When you're looking to eliminate things from your life, when you're looking to add things into your life, what am I going to bring in? What types of things do I want to be involved in the coming year? What types of things do I need to release? Well, first, what's important to me? What places do I really struggle in my life as far as my work, in my personal relationships, in my own internal thinking, in my own mind, and in my own heart? What do you personally have need of on the inside? And so we're able to decide based upon what our values are. And when you're making your priorities and you look at those five, I recommend going with the top two. When you have listed them down, going with your top two. So that way you can start simply with acting on those values. And I also say it because I know some of you all are overthinkers, but the more you practice it, the more you go through these exercises and apply what your values are to the different decisions that you have, the different behaviors that you make, you're really able to start to add in more values, because some of them can seem like they're competing values, but they really aren't, because they're all a part of you, and they are based upon your beliefs at the time, your outlook, and your identity, who you are, the things that are near and dear to you as well. So we can set the boundary. We also need to communicate the boundaries. I'm not going to go to the tips just yet, but being able to communicate what we have set, right? For example, if family is something that is a huge value for you, you're going to set boundaries around it. If balance is something that is of value to you, it's something that you value, you're going to set boundaries around those things. So being clear and specific is the first thing that we want to look at with that. Anytime we're communicating, we want to be clear, concise, direct, respectful, positive. It really helps everything to stay positive and go in a timely fashion and go in a positive direction when we're coming from a place of positivity. So, what do I mean about being clear and specific? When there are no questions to be said about what you stated. I need to leave work by 6 p.m. to spend time with my family. That's a boundary. That is something that you state. And you stated in a assertive and truthful, you stated the truth in an assertive manner. It was clear and direct. When you use I statements as well, I feel overwhelmed when I have to stay at work late every night. This also will help avoid making the other person feel guilty or anything like that, because you are stating your truth and you're communicating this is what is going on inside my world, inside my mind, when I have to do XYZ, meaning the thing that you have to break, the boundary. You're not wanting to step outside of that. You're not wanting the overwhelm. I feel nervous when we don't talk about XYZ before we go forward with this. Those type of things, when you're able to communicate that with the people who are loving you and supporting you, it really helps them to understand where you're coming from as well. And being consistent with those boundaries. Oh my goodness. Not switching it up, not going back and forth with it, but staying on that same boundary, not budging a little. Okay, well, maybe I can stay 30 minutes extra. People will test your boundaries. Why? Because they are coming from a needy place within themselves, and it's our job to recognize our limits, recognize our limits in our time and our energy, and stand in our truth as well. We are in an era of better boundaries for better living. Yes, it's going to take some time to change these things. It's going to take some courage, some energy, some consistency to do them. But you can do it. You are in a new place. It is a new day. You are doing a new thing and staying calm and respectful. I want to remind you again as well, it is not your responsibility to serve the other person's feelings when you state your boundary. You can state the boundary and leave it at that. You are not responsible for how they receive the boundary. We are responsible for communicating it in a positive way. We're also responsible for making sure people understand what we're saying. And there are going to be some kickbacks to that. One, it may be internally with, "Hey Henry, how you doing? So good to see you." There are going to be some kickbacks internally, and there are going to be some kickbacks outside of you as well. So the first one I already talked about was how another person feels, whether they get angry, whether they start feeling like you're being selfish with that. It's not your place to help coax them into a better place. It's your place to state your boundary and to be completely clear about those things. Yes, if you are feeling guilty for that boundary, even after you've been consistent in standing on it, it's okay to allow yourself to have those feelings. It lets you know that you are human, but you also remind yourself, this is why my boundary is important. I really love my family, and I really want to go to bed at night not feeling overwhelmed. After you've spoken that boundary, you still stand on it, right? And you let the other person handle it how they need to handle it. The other thing that you can do, and this is all being compassionate towards yourself, right? You got to express, "Hey Tamara, how you doing?" I'm sorry, Tamara, Glenn, I may be saying your name. It's been a while. It's been a while. How you doing? So you can express self-compassion. Self-compassion is about you being kind to yourself, and you're standing in your truth, and you're doing what needs to be done. Self compassion is not about you just, "Oh, well, it's okay. I'm just going to be docile and stay in this place." No, it's also being in truth and being in power. There's a meekness that comes with being self compassionate as well. It's not just the kindness, but we do the things that we need to do. We grow how we need to grow, and we give ourselves the kindness and the grace that we would extend to anyone else. We give it to ourselves with a level of loving kindness and understanding in it as well. That's how you reframe your mindset with that. It also, guilt says that you're doing something wrong. You reframe your mindset and you what's the word, you affirm that this is something that I need, and it's okay for me to have needs. I am not wrong when I need something. And the power of affirming that and you telling yourself that, it's a process called reparenting as well, because you may have grown up in environments where people made you feel guilty for the things that you needed, or your needs were not recognized. So you stepping in and being the person to affirm and to validate how you're feeling and your needs, and you stating your boundary and that it's okay to have those needs, it's an excellent way it's an excellent way to assure that little person on the inside of you, the past child version of you, or you could have been a teenager, letting that part of you, that age that you were, the parts of your nervous system that still remember that, you're affirming to that person that they're okay and they're safe. And your brain will start to respond to that, because you will start reaching out and doing more things. You will start standing on your boundaries, standing on the things that you need and what you want, having self compassion towards yourself. You will let in the support that you need. Because, yeah, sometimes you got to talk to other people, other professional people that you can trust and who are safe. who have a safe space for you to talk about your challenges with those boundaries. And you can also start to evaluate and adjust your boundaries also as well when you're practicing self compassion and when you're affirming yourself. Your brain is going to recognize that it's safe for you to do those things, and your coping skills will start to change with things. This is how you mature in it. And yes, there are steps and stages to it as well. Hey Trajay, hello, hello. These are some of my therapy friends coming on. Y'all chime in the comments and let me know. We're talking about having boundaries for better living, ways that we're setting and communicating our boundaries. So I appreciate the community in the comments as well, because you're helping someone else. So what are some other ways that we can say this, right? Sometimes you just need to know, you need to have that space to practice. So let's practice right now some ways that we can state our boundaries in a positive, assertive, clear way. So there are three ways that I want to give you on tonight. So there are ways that you can decline all of these responsibilities and obligations. If your goal is to be less of a yes woman, like instead of trying to do everybody else's things and agendas, your own other people's priorities, you start prioritizing your own things and your own needs. Shout out to you for making that decision, for lifting yourself up, for going to higher heights. We are polite with those declines. We add a little sugar on it. Whenever I offer somebody help, and I'm just speaking from the other person's responsibility, when people ask you to do things or if they want to help you, I notice how some people are like, no, I don't need that. And I feel like, wow, were you offended that I asked or offered to help you with something? Like, dang. And it made me not want to come to them anymore because their energy was just different. Y'all ever noticed how if you offer to help somebody and they're kind of like, no, don't offer me any help. I'm independent. I don't need to do that. Like it's beneath them and things like that. Oh my gosh. We have to forgive people and not try to make it about us, right? But I was just like, why does, do people, it's not an automatic thing for people just to say no, thank you. Just to add a thank you in there on it, you know? So this is what I mean by a polite decline. Thank you for thinking of me, but I have to decline. There was an appreciation, an acknowledgement, and a statement of the truth. There was an appreciation, an acknowledgement, and a statement of the truth. I like this. This is like putting two spoonfuls of sugar in it, right? Especially if you're coming from a place of people pleasing and feeling guilt about it. So you can tell yourself, hey, I put two spoonfuls of sugar in there. If they don't taste the sweetness in it, that's on them. I know I came with sweetness. So there it is. This is another way. I appreciate the offer, but I can't commit at this time. There was no follow up with that. There was no but this, but that. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I cannot commit at this time. And you go on. I'm honored. You asked, but I have other obligations. Wasn't it sweet? And you practice saying those things with a smile on your face. Y'all, I remember the first time I did that when I was telling somebody no, and I learned how to say no with a smile. First, I had to learn how to say no. I had to learn how to say no as a complete sentence. And I had to learn how to say it with a smile in my voice because it lightened the mood. It wasn't that I was making fun of them, but some people actually got angry at that. And that was my cue to leave, right? That was my cue to know, okay, this person really doesn't have any concern about me and my needs. They're only thinking about themselves. And that's okay. I didn't shun the person for it. When I said leave, it was time for me to reassign them as far as the relationships in my life. I knew I could not let that person be within my inner circle because they had no care for me. And I love reciprocity. Yes, I do. I need reciprocity, so I have to practice it. Yes, I do. I have to practice it because I like it and I want it to. Setting clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries. I'm unable to take on any new tasks at the moment. Being very clear. Unfortunately, I can't add anything to my plate. Unfortunately, I can't add anything to my plate. The next one is another sweet one that I like. It's you redirecting and suggesting, you directing them in another way. I'm not available, but have you considered asking this person? I'm not available, but maybe we can connect at another time. Here's my number, or give me your number so I can call you when I'm available, so we can connect with other times, things like that. Now, we can combine all three. You ready? Okay, I'm ready. Thank you for thinking of me, but unfortunately, I'm unable to commit at this time. Yet, have you considered asking Chelsea about this task? And let it go at that. You can redirect them. So it's the spoonfuls of sugar, the politeness, and then redirecting to something positive. I think that was fun. We have to practice doing those things. So practice those. Of course, I will be here. You can play this again so you can hear me as well. Those are some ways that we can, some examples. Now, to support the boundaries that we set in place, we have to set limits on our time and our energy. What do I mean by setting limits on your time and energy? You use the technology, you use the resources that you need, you review things as you need them so you can keep your boundaries solid. And boundaries may change, just like your values may change during those certain seasons. So you can review them as often as you want. One way to make sure you set time limits, and this is also so you can have the time that you need for meaningful tasks, for meaningful meetings, things like that. Time blocking. Time blocking. That's one of my favorite ones, where you block off your time in your schedule of your day. You have a block. Some people is 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. where you block out what you're doing with your time. Of course, you're gonna have a block for sleep. I hope you put in a block for sleep and you consider that, hey, this is my delegated time for sleep. This is the time that I practice self care, whether it's journaling, meditating, my exercise time. You got self care time blocks throughout your day. You also have work blocks throughout your day. And I hope that's not the only time block on your schedule, on your calendar right now. I hope that's not the only one. If it's not, use this as a time right now. Be like, okay, when am I going to practice some self care? Dr. Kim said I needed to get this in so I can continue to grow if I want to build a life and a long, healthy quality of life. But yeah, you should dedicate time to your priorities and your values. If one of your values is family, you should have family time on your schedule. The things that we set boundaries around, we also have them either on our schedule or we make our schedules the way we do because of those things. Now, another one, this is an important one as well for people who are prone to overworking, overthinking, or just you got so many things that you're trying to do. Even if you are plagued with just trying to be perfect at everything and you procrastinate a lot of times, is learning how to delegate. There is an art to delegation, and we also set boundaries with other people. We have company boundaries, say clients, customers, and the people that serve them, the managers, and the people, the employees on the job. There are boundaries set in place for those things. But being able to delegate means you have a level of trust and you empower them. That is the Those are the two main things, that you learn how to trust others to handle the tasks that you take your hands off of. God has someone in your sphere or close to you or a friend of a friend who knows who is anointed and called to do those things. They are anointed to support you in a certain way. They will actually come to you. And if you've noticed, it may hit you all of a sudden. I bet that person was into my life to help me and support me. Yes, they were. So you will be called to trust that person, to trust what God has given them, and also to empower them to succeed, meaning giving them the clear instructions that they need, giving them the tools and the resources. If you have to give over passwords to certain software, if you have to give over ways to do things, different videos, or teaching them how to do things, or giving them access to certain places, helping them to go on trips and everything. Also, you can sow into them doing the job that they need to do for you, making sure that they have what they need, and also following up and being a supporter, not a micromanager, but being a supporter. Those are some of the supportive things that we can do when we are delegating as well, to follow up and support that person. Hey Crystal, hey, how you doing? But those are the things, some key concepts when you are delegating tasks, is to trust that person, to trust the gifts on the inside of them, that they're there to support you when you're choosing that person, and to also empower them as well. And then you have things off of your table so you can stay in your zone of genius. That's the thing that you were mainly called to do, that you will do excellent at, that you have the most meaning and the most impact in that thing versus the other things that are in your company or in your life. You don't have to just delegate at work. You can delegate duties and tasks and things in your personal life also. I hope this has been helpful with understanding boundaries. Like I said again, our question that I have for you is, what's one stronger boundary that you need to communicate? We talked about some ways to communicate on tonight. You can practice those. We did some practical tips. We talked about effective ways of setting those boundaries. I also have to tell you again, if you like the video, like it, make the comments, and also share it. And you can follow me over on YouTube at Align with Dr. Kim. This was actually the second part of the boundary video. The first one was the power of no. And we're going to load this one up also to talk about how to be more effective in your boundaries. We talked about the different ways that you can pick out your values, how to prioritize those, and how you're going to use them going forward in those important and wonderful decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis. You are well capable, you are well equipped to make and create boundaries, to renew boundaries, to craft and create other boundaries as you grow. You have such a strength, a wisdom, and a talent to do those things. So that way you can honor your true self and the God given talents that are within you. Don't become weary in your well doing, but stay on the track that was given to you. Protect your time and your energy, because you've got places to go. I am Dr. Kim of Align with Dr. Kim, and I will see you in the next one.